Kendrick's comments often suggest that he believes Drake isn't a real black man, and worse yet, he's a racist without knowledge of real struggles, nor is he connected to hip hop genuinely. And this idea becomes clear in moments when Kendrick claims he can't say the N-word or discuss aspects of black culture he thinks Drake doesn't know, like FUBU and secret handshakes. So let's investigate how much of this is true.
I try to empathize with you, cause I know that you ain't been through nothing. Crave entitlement, or wanna be like so bad that it's puzzling. No dominance. Let's recap moments when you didn't fit in. No secret handshakes with your friend. No culture cachet to binge. Just disrespecting your mother. Identities on the fence. Don't know which family will love you. The skin that you living in is compromised in personas.
You can accuse me of mind reading, but when Kendrick brings up his race right after claiming Drake is entitled and has never been through anything, it's hard not to believe that there aren't some racial elements of that attack coming into play. There was actually a feature article written about Drake before his first album was released where they dispel a lot of these rumors about Drake's quote-unquote easy childhood. The writer states, "Dodging vulnerability has been a fact of Drake's life since childhood. His parents split when he was 3 years old. Only a child, he lived with his mother, who soon began battling rheumatoid arthritis, a condition that eventually prevented her from working, forcing Drake to become responsible at a young age. We would have this little drill where, Lord forbid something happened, if there was a fire or emergency, he would have to run outside and get a neighbor and call 911, Mrs. Graham said. His father, Dennis, who is black, was an intermittent presence, sometimes struggling with drugs, sometimes in jail. One thing I wasn't sheltered from was the pains of adulthood," Drake said. When something upset him as a teenager, he often told himself, "That's just the right now. I can change that. I can change anything. The hand that was dealt doesn't exist to me." From an early age, he'd been interested in performing, whether rewriting the lyrics to Mary Had a Little Lamb or spending time as a child model. By then, he and his mother were living in Forest Hill, a well-to-do, heavily Jewish neighborhood on the north side of Toronto where he attended local schools, often the only black student in sight. His mother is white and Jewish, and Drake had a bar mitzvah. At school, he struggled academically and socially, character-building moments, but not great memories, he recalled. In 8th grade, he got an agent and was soon sent off for the audition for Degrassi, The Next Generation, an updated version of the popular 1980s Canadian drama. He auditioned after school on the same day he said that he first smoked pot from a bong. Nevertheless, he landed the role of the wealthy, well-liked basketball star Jimmy Brooks, who was originally conceived as a white football player. Ernie is trying to figure out where he does fit in the world, having a white Jewish mom and a black, often absentee father, said Linda Schuyler, a creator of the show. It's almost a comfort factor with Jimmy Brooks. That was the antithesis of his life at the time. It was probably reassuring and a bit escapist for him to play that role. Sometimes he was hiding even when the cameras were off, sleeping on the show's set. When I woke up in the morning, I was still the guy that could act and laugh, he said. It's just that home was overwhelming. Along with Degrassi came a new, more diverse school closer to the set, where he tried rapping in public. As he got older, he also tried out his verses on one of his father's jailhouse friends who listened over the phone. Summers were spent with his father's side of the family in Memphis, where one of his cousins was dating the manager of the rapper Yo Gotti. There, Drake gained an affection for the energy of Southern rap, which contrasted with the headier material he had started making himself. I wanted to read that part of the article verbatim because it both contains a lot of evidence that Kendrick's narratives are false, but also some of the reasons why those narratives persist. One, because of the wealthier neighborhood that Drake grew up in, but what they leave out of that article is the family was able to afford rent there because they were sharing it with another family, with Drake living in the basement during his teenage years. It also talks about Drake's acting career, which is part of the reason why people assume he must have had money, but he actually raps about that on a song that he only had $50,000 as a salary and it would disappear quickly after helping his mother. Though as much as people want to believe that Drake had a cakewalk of a life before becoming a famous rapper, just because he was famous on television, that's not the case. There's nothing easy about being a kid that's forced to take care of your family because of your sick mother and your absent father. And it also dispels this idea that Drake had no real connection with black culture. He was living in Memphis during the summers with his father, and his father's even told stories about how they would listen to rap on the car ride down from Canada.
He'd have a little time to listen to his rap, and I would play Johnny Taylor, Bobby Blue Bland, B.B. King, Al Green, and he listened to it, and he got that soul and blues instilled in him.
I exposed him to every aspect of life. I never hid anything from him, kept anything from him. I took him down through there and I showed him this side of life. I showed him that side of life. He's always been around music. My family is all about music. My uncle Willie Mitchell, who was discovered Al Green.
Oh wow!
From Royal Studios ever since 1957, 6 or 7, in Memphis, Tennessee. I took Drake down through there, and I took him with me, and I showed him. I used to let him shake tambourines with me on stage. I did a matinee on Sunday.
Oh wow!
On Sundays in Toronto.
That's crazy.
And I take him with me every Sunday from 2 to 5. That instills something in a child. I don't know if you've seen this little kid, Baby Boy Drummer.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
You take a child and you expose them to that at an early age, they're bound to make it.
Yeah. So you knew.
I knew.
So we see Drake was not only taught music from a very, very young age, he was also raised by musicians. He loved music, he loved rap, he loved R&B. So what makes him a scam artist instead of a rap artist besides his mother being white? And if you want to blame him being from Canada as opposed to his mother's ethnicity, then why don't we apply these standards to Slick Rick, MF Doom, 21 Savage, Cannabis, Wyclef? I'm aware that they moved to the United States at a younger age than Drake, but he was also spending his summers there from a young age, and even when he was in Canada, he was being raised by a Black American man. And considering that was a musician as well, I think it's pretty hard to say his roots are more disconnected from hip-hop compared to these other names I listed.
Some of Dennis's favorite memories are those summers on Appleville Street, right off Shelby Drive in this house.
I can see him now. Wrestling out in the yard and wrestling in the den of the house with his cousins.
After becoming a household name, there was a time when Drake finally told his dad,
every time I go, I gotta take pictures with my family, everybody around, and I get sick of it. So finally, I told him, when he comes, you guys treat him like you did when you were playing in the yard together. Right. He tells people, I'm from Memphis. He'll tell you in a second. I'm from Memphis. That's my home.
Beat you, and I like to understand, cause your house was never a home. 37, but you showing up as a 7-year-old. I try to empathize with you, cause I know that you ain't been through nothing. Crave entitlement, but wanna be like so bad that it's puzzling. No dominance. Let's recap moments when you didn't fit in. No secret handshakes with your friend. No culture cachet to binge. Just disrespecting your mother. Identities on the fence. Don't know which family will love you. The skin that you living in is compromised in persona.
But Kendrick promised that he had no secret handshakes with his friends. He didn't fit in. Why would his dad talk about them this way? He didn't say treat him like he's normal. He said treat him like you used to. This guy was clearly around them. And his father might not have always been there, but he wasn't the sociopath Kendrick tries to paint him out to be. They still have a close relationship today.
And while Dennis is first to admit he hasn't been a perfect dad, he's proud that with the exception of an occasional public feud with a few rappers, Drake has mostly kept it clean.
He wasn't raised like that. That's not like, he's not from the hood, so to speak. He lived in the hood, but he didn't acquire that mentality.
And the two have an unbreakable bond.
Our love is undeniable. I mean, that's my heart. That's my heartbeat.
The bond includes daily phone calls.
Dear Dennis, you gave birth to a master manipulator. Even using you to prove who he is a huge favor. I think you should ask for more paper, and more paper, and more paper. I'm blaming you for all his gambling addictions, psychopath intuition, the man that liked to play victim. You raised a horrible fucking person. The nerve of you, Dennis.
As wild as the fans' reaction to this song was, it starts to lose a lot of its sting when you hear Dennis talking about Drake and his relationship. Unsurprisingly, Kendrick fans have taken after his racist attacks on Drake so openly that they don't even feel ashamed doing it, because that's clearly where this line of attack is coming from, with the assumption Drake must have lived a easy life. If you enjoyed this video, please check out the full series that I've done on the Kendrick and Drake beef, exposing the truth that is under discussed in media today.